Thank you so much to our BCBA for being here tonight and giving this workshop for us. Thank you.
Great. Okay, thank you so much. It looks like we have a good number of participants, and I'm going to keep my eye on there just in case anybody else pops up that wants to come in. Thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. My name is Katherine Wiedemann, and I am a board certified behavior analyst. I have been working in Roselle for the past, I guess this is my third year in Roselle, and I love Roselle already from the bottom of my heart, and I'm really happy to be here. I work as the behaviorist in the district. I've been board certified since 2011, where I've worked, in a variety of capacities, but my love is school-based behavior. And some people think that I'm crazy for that being, what I'm into, but I just do. I'm also, just for a little bit of background information on me, I'm also a mom. So I'm the mom of a 7-year-old, second grader. We just started virtual learning ourselves. So you'll see in my presentation, as I was writing it, I really had to make note that some of the things I was writing, I was really writing to myself to remind myself of some of these things. So, as a behaviorist, I'm pretty confident that most of the time I know what I'm doing, but as a mom, that confidence is about cut in half. And especially in these times, it's something that I can speak for myself, but I think I can speak for all of you that we've never done before. So we are in totally uncharted territory, and it is what it is. But I've been in Roselle for 3 years. I'm also about halfway through my doctorate. I'm getting my PhD in special education. So special education is just where I have always wanted to be and where I always will be. And I do see a bunch of names that I recognize on our participant list. So welcome to everyone. And if you don't know me yet, I would love to get to know you. I'm going to share a little bit later in the presentation about support and reaching out for support, which is something that I'm very vocal about wanting parents to do, is reach out to us for support. So tonight, they asked me if I could put together a little presentation, and we could speak about behavior for 17 hours straight. So it was really, I want to do a few of these, but for the first one, I thought to myself, what can I impart to you all in an hour that I feel would be the most useful for you as parents in this situation? And I came up with a few things, and I'm gonna actually share. I saw a meme recently that said, "Stop saying you're gonna share your screen, just share it." So I'm not gonna say it, I'm just gonna share it. But I have to do it for a second here. 1 second. Okay. So our topic for tonight is going to be, it's going to be behavior modification, but specifically, we're going to be talking about two things. Well, the first thing is token reward system. So can you guys all see my screen? Maybe just give me a nod. Can someone see my screen? Okay, great. Let me just present this here. Okay, so our main topic, and like I said, I tend to get off track sometimes and want to talk about 900 different things, but I really felt like this could be the most useful thing that I could give you guys as parents, because token reward systems are, and you probably, even if you don't know what they are right now, you probably, as I get to slide 2 or 3, you'll think to yourself, oh, I know what this kind of is. Token reward systems are really like a little nugget of gold in behavior modification, because token reward systems can virtually work for any child or really any person. And we're going to talk a little bit about the thinking behind a token reward system and how it's not that different from how we as adults in society function. But token reward systems, I've thought about all the different parents that would be here or might be here, and regardless of age or ability or, special education or general education, this is a tool that is, probably the most the most valuable tool in my toolbox, and I'm hoping to pass it on to you so that it can become one of the most valuable tools in yours. Let me see. So what is a token reinforcement, a reward system? It's based in the principle of reinforcement. And so reinforcement is one of the most effective tools used in ABA. That's my field, applied behavior analysis. And I'm sure that many of you have heard it. Some of you may even be experts in it. It's a very sometimes misunderstood thing, ABA. A lot of times parents think that ABA is just a specific method of teaching where a child is at a table with an instructor and they're working on, you know, skills that are very structured. That's actually called discrete trial teaching, and that's one of the methodologies that is under the umbrella of ABA. But ABA is actually a science, and it's actually a lot bigger than that. So one of the primary things that we look at in ABA and in behavior modification is this idea of reinforcement. Okay, so reinforcement, sometimes it can be synonymous with rewards, but basically reinforcement is any consequence that follows a behavior that makes that behavior more likely to occur in the future. So think about your own life for a second. You know, as adults, we go to work, right? We go to work probably for a variety of reasons. I go to work for two reasons. One is that I really love what I do, and I'm intrinsically motivated by my work because I really believe in it and I feel like I can make a difference and I love the people that I work with. I really like going to work. But I would probably be lying a little bit if I didn't also mention the fact that I go to work because I also get paid to go to work. And that's kind of an extrinsic reinforcement. But those things are two reasons why I go to work. But money, if you think about money, the money itself isn't actually worth anything, right? It's just a piece of paper, or a coin is, you know, a little bit of metal, but that money has value to us, right? Why? Because it can buy things for us. It can be exchanged basically for things that we need and things that we want. So with money, obviously we can buy food, shelter, entertainment, a house, a car, a new outfit, candy, basically whatever we want, you know, if we have enough of it, and we budget well, which I will not be doing a presentation on budgeting because that's not my strong area. But money basically represents the fact that we can cash it in for something that we want. So a token economy or a token reinforcement system is essentially the same principle. And I always say, you know, a lot of times we look at kids as like these little alien beings who, you know, we don't understand why they do the things they do, and we don't understand how to fix it or change it. But kids are really just tiny little people, and they're just, you know, smaller versions of us. And from a behavioral perspective, kids work in the same way that we do. So in the same way that, you know, I need reinforcement to get up and go to work, kids also need reinforcement to do the things sometimes that they need to do or being asked to do. So a token reward system works basically the same way as the world economy does. The child earns tokens, and I'm going to talk a little bit about tokens and what that means. That's kind of the general word, but this may be in the form of a sticker chart, or, you know, if you've seen teachers that have a marble system set up, the word token is it can be interchangeable. But what it really means is something that symbolizes that they can cash it in for something else. So basically the child earns tokens by completing tasks or displaying desired behaviors. And the tokens are then exchanged for something that's valuable to the child. And in behavior terms, that's known as a backup reinforcer. So if we think about our own lives, the money that we earn, oh, hold on, I don't want to go there yet. The money that we earn are essentially tokens, right? They're tokens. They're symbols of the fact that we can buy something that we want. Oh, hold on a second. I'm just going to mute that person. Welcome, everybody. I'm glad you're here. Hold on. Let me just set it so that it mutes everybody when they come in. Okay. Letting one more person in. Okay. So basically that is how a token reinforcement system works. The child earns tokens, and once he or she gets a specified number of tokens, they get to cash in their tokens. So a lot of times I see this used, and sometimes the problem is that there's nothing really behind the tokens. There's no backup reinforcer. And that may work for some kids. My daughter loves stickers. She likes stickers. She likes collecting stickers. And so for her, the stickers of us on a sticker chart might be reinforcing of themselves. But, you know, for most kids, and for her eventually, once the stickers got old, they're kind of like, all right, well, what are we actually earning? So a lot of times when I see this in use and it's not working, it's because we forget that there needs to be a backup reinforcer. There needs to be something, you know, the big cash money prize that's waiting for them at the end of the rainbow. So in our world, money is the token, and the things that we buy with money are the backup reinforcers. And don't worry, I know a lot of this is text heavy in the beginning, but I'm a visual learner, so I do have pictures and a video, I believe. So we'll just stick with me through the boring stuff. So how do we create a token board? I'm gonna skip ahead real quick and just show you on my next slide, just visually what this could look like. So that you have it in your head as we're talking about it. But I'm sure many of you have seen these before. They can look a variety of ways. And like I said, what's great about this is that you do not have to be able to read to understand and be able to benefit from a token reward system. It can work for preschoolers just as well as it can work for 12th graders. We just have to modify it to the age and ability of the child and the interests of the child. Obviously, you know, for a 10th grader, we may not have Bob the Builder stickers as our tokens. We may just have it in the form of a checklist where the child, you know, the student has to earn 5 or 10 check marks to earn their reinforcer. But it's really a very universal tool. I use it all the time with, you know, my own child. And if you're creative about it, you could even try to figure out a way to use this with, you know, a significant other or a spouse. So you can thank me later. This kind of might double as relationship therapy too. Behavior principles, these principles that I'm talking about, they exist universally, no matter who we're talking about. Every person, every human being, you know, functions in this way in terms of learning behavior. So how are we going to create a token board? And think about, I want you guys to be thinking about, you know, whether it's your own child or if you're a teacher. I know we have some teachers and paraprofessionals in here, which is amazing and just goes to show, you know, what a great place Roselle is, because, you know, 6 o'clock on is it Wednesday or Tuesday? 6 o'clock on a Tuesday, I'm losing track of time. I definitely know what year it is because it's 2020 and we'll never forget that. But, you know, 6 p.m. For you guys to come out and spend your own time with me tonight is really great and means a lot. And I'm glad to have you here as well as the parents. But if you're a parent, think about your own child. And if you are a staff member, maybe think about a child that you know, you've known in the past or you currently have in class that you might want to modify their behavior a little bit. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to pick the specific behavior you want to see more of. So this is tough because if you asked me this about my own child, I would probably immediately start racking off, you know, 5, 6, 7 behaviors that I want to change about her. And that's great. And there is always room to continue working. But something that's really important to be able to have success in behavior modification is to really pinpoint one thing at a time, because otherwise it gets very, you know, muddy and messy, and we sometimes don't see results like we would if we pinpoint one behavior at a time. So if you're thinking about your child, think about one behavior you would like to see more of. Now, chances are, if you're like me, you may be thinking instead of a behavior that you want to go away. And that's okay too. So if it's a negative behavior that you're thinking about, that's fine. We can work with that. What we're going to do though, because in behavior analysis and in positive behavior supports, we're really trying to focus, instead of focusing on what we don't want kids to do or what they shouldn't be doing or what they need to stop doing, we're going to flip it and try to figure out what is it that we can promote? What is it that we want to see? What is it that we can say positively, that's the opposite essentially of the negative behavior. So for example, if you want a child to stop screaming, we're going to earn tokens for being quiet or having a quiet mouth, or however you want to, however your child would best understand that concept of not screaming. But we are going to try not to be, not to talk about it from a negative perspective, simply because if you relate this to the real world as well, if you have a boss that is constantly down your throat about what you're doing wrong and how all your assignments and reports are late and how you are slouching at your office chair and constantly picking on things that you're not doing right, how would you feel about being there? How would you feel about that person? How would you feel about your job? How might you feel about yourself? So these are principles that really extend beyond just children. These are principles of the world, and we just really have to fit them to children. So step one is we are going to pick a specific behavior that we want to see more of, or we are going to identify a behavior that we don't want to stop, and we're going to switch it and make it positive. So I'm trying to think of some other examples. Let's say for physical aggression, we do have some kids that, sometimes communicate through physical aggression, whether it be hitting or kicking or spitting, whatever it is, throwing objects. Instead of saying, stop hitting, stop kicking, what's the opposite of that? Having a calm and quiet body, keeping my hands safe. There are a multitude of ways that we can say these things in a way that kids can understand and that's also positive. Because again, we're going to be rewarding them for that rather than punishing them for the things that they're not doing or the things that they're doing wrong. So after we have that behavior, you're already a quarter of the way there to your token board. Now we have to choose what the backup reinforcer is going to be. So remember, for most kids, the tokens themselves are not going to be the reward. They have to symbolize something. And this is learned very quickly by children. You may think in the beginning of this process, well, they're not going to know, what that token even means. And you're right. But very quickly, if we do this correctly, they're going to associate the tokens with the good stuff. I promise. I have seen it many, many times. And I can't think of one student I've ever worked with in, many years who has not eventually caught on to the fact that when it's done correctly, the tokens or the stickers or the coins or the chips or whatever it is, symbolize their free time or their computer time or their jumping on the trampoline or their Skittles, whatever it is. So this is a very important part. And I say, even better than you choosing their backup reinforcer, how about we have them choose their backup reinforcer? The most important part of this is that your child is actually motivated to earn whatever it is that they're earning. If they are not, you can just pretty much, log off Zoom right now and throw this all out the window because it won't work. And I liken that to the example of, if I went to, and I love Roselle very much and I love my job very much, but if they called a meeting tomorrow and they brought me in and they said, Katherine, you're doing great work, but we've had a few administrative changes, and instead of being paid by direct deposit every 2 weeks, we are now going to be paying all of our employees in gummy bears. I would think, wow, 2020 really has gone off the rails. But after that thought, I would think, I don't know that I can stay in this job because I have to pay my rent and I have to pay, my utilities and my car, and I can't pay that stuff in gummy bears. And that may affect my behavior. It may even, make my behavior change wildly. I may just no longer come to work. I wouldn't do that, but you know what I'm saying. So it is really, really important that whatever we're offering them as the reinforcer is actually reinforcing to them. And I have heard several times over the years, either a parent or a teacher will say, will be very frustrated and kind of at the end of their rope. And they'll say to me, nothing is reinforcing to him. There is nothing that is reinforcing to him. And you know, I don't react right away because I've heard this before and I know where it comes from, but that just simply cannot be true. Something is reinforcing to everyone. Sometimes we are not looking in the right places or offering the right things. And sometimes we also kind of, and this is true mostly with my friends on the autism spectrum, because sometimes I think with our kiddos on the spectrum, we tend to kind of funnel their experience through our own. So things that would be reinforcing to us, that's what we offer as reinforcers for them. And if they're not into it or they're not engaged by it, you know, we throw up our hands and say, well, they're not reinforced by anything. I cannot think of one child in 15 years that I have met that nothing was motivating to them. But it can be, you know, for some kids, it's going to be easy as pie. They're motivated by everything. They love the iPad. They love the trucks. They love puzzles. Hey, maybe we're really lucky and they love letters and numbers, and we can even have them earning things that have educational value. That's a win. You know, for other kids, they're going to be a little bit more picky. Maybe they're not really into everything, but mom and dad, you guys know your kids best, and you know that there's something there that they're willing, you know, to do whatever it takes to get. But if you are at this step and you are stuck, don't despair. I still have some resources and help for you. At the end of this presentation, I am going to show a link to what's called a preference assessment. So it's essentially a 20-page document that lists out tons and tons of potential reinforcers, activities and toys and edible things and things in the environment and places that you go. I mean, there's tons of stuff. And for most of you, I don't think it will be that hard to figure out, but sometimes it is. And a little bit later in the presentation, we'll talk about what happens when the things that are reinforcing don't work anymore, because that happens also. You know, I had one summer in, you know, 3rd grade, we went to the beach and I ate so much saltwater taffy, I couldn't feel my mouth. And now saltwater taffy is aversive to me. Not only do I not like it anymore, I, you know, get nauseous when I see it. So we can get, you know, kids like adults can get kind of sick of stuff, or what it's called satiation in ABA. It's basically like, it's not really working anymore, but also don't despair if that happens. It's usually an easier fix than redoing the entire plan. So don't worry about that. But the preference assessment is something that I'm going to share with you all, that if you need help identifying what these backup reinforcers might be, that will help you. The other thing is options are always your friend. So I learned this, I probably learned this I learned this as a behaviorist, but I remember the moment that I learned this as a parent. And when kids are given a choice of something, it's like their brain lights up and they think that they now have control over everything. You know, just the having been given a choice, an option, some power, some freedom, that in itself is often very motivating. That's why when you go to the dentist, and, you know, after your kid gets their teeth cleaned and, you know, prodded at, and they go to that little, you know, wishing well or big bowl of essentially just junk, right? Because it's never anything that's anything valuable. Kids love that thing. They love that wishing well because it's novelty, right? It's things like, wow, look at all this stuff I've never seen before. So I've also worked with kids where sometimes the backup reinforcer is literally just a Tupperware container full of just random stuff, you know, that you switch out. So that's something to think about also. But options are always your friend. And if you're able to, I would recommend setting up what I call a choice board. So this is something, I'm going to show you an example of it visually so you can see it in a picture. But this is essentially a board of choices of basically, okay, what do you want to work for today? Tommy, you know, it's Monday. We have to go to virtual learning now. What do you want to work for? And he can look at those different options and decide, well, this time I would like to work for potato chips. Awesome. Great. So it's good to have options. One thing that I will say from experience is make sure not to offer something that you don't have in that moment, because that kind of limits we basically have to make you like a very reliable source of reinforcement. You know, your kid has to know that whatever mom's offering me or whatever dad's saying that I can earn, I do earn it. I know that because it's happened before. So that's really, really important. I also have, and I like to do, Velcro is my best friend. Those little Velcro strips are great, or the Velcro, the little buttons, like the little circles that are adhesive. Those things, I buy them in bulk, and there's never enough of them because you can, on a choice board, if you have it Velcroed, you can add and remove things, you know, at your, whenever you have to. If you don't have, you know, you don't have a certain item that day, or you're out of goldfish, you just rip goldfish off before you present the choice board to your student. And then, you know, that kind of does away with that issue. So we don't want to promise something that we don't have. So finally, the third step is we're going to select a token to use and decide how many tokens your child will need to earn to get a backup reinforcer. So the way that I see this working, and I'm going to show you my visuals in a minute, but the way that I visualize this to help you guys in virtual learning is that this is something you could use, you know, when it's time to do virtual learning, whether it be, you know, synchronous learning where you're logging on and the teacher is there and you're going through activities, or your child is going through activities and maybe you're there helping, that you could be using. But it's also something, this is a tool that you could use, you know, school and out of school. This is something that I sometimes have parents using for morning routine, you know, just motivating a kid to get out of bed, brush his teeth, get dressed, do all the things they have to do in the morning. This can be a really, really helpful tool for a lot of things. But when thinking about it within the realm of virtual learning, how I picture this working is a lot like how sometimes our paraprofessionals are trained to work with kids during, you know, I'm thinking of our preschoolers. We have a lot of kiddos that come to preschool and they've never done anything like this before. They've never sat for circle time. They've never, you know, lined up and put their backpacks away. So we have to teach them that when it's time for circle time, this is what we do. We sit in our chair. We don't, you know, we're staying still. Our mouth is quiet. Our feet are on the ground, and we're looking at our teacher. And when she asks us to, you know, point to something, we point. And a lot of the times I will put kids on a token reinforcement system at circle time specifically for just sitting in the chair because it is not a skill that a lot of children come to us with, because why would they? There's no circle time at home. You know, there's not, when you're 2 and 3, there's not, you know, a little circle of chairs you have to sit around and sit in for 15 minutes at a time. And we have so much success with it. So basically, and I'll show you, I'm going to skip ahead just to show you. Nope. Hold on one second. Oh, I lost it. Hold on, guys. I lost my window here. Oh dear. Where did it go? Just completely disappeared. Okay, give me 1 second, guys. I lost my sharing is paused. Bring your window to the front. I lost my window entirely. Where is it? Oh, there it is. Okay, can you guys see it? Are we back? Give me a head nod, somebody. Okay. So if you look at this example on the bottom here, I am working for computer. A lot of times I'll have this, we'll have this, and the paraprofessional will be holding it. And basically what we decide to do is that every token is going to be about 30 seconds where the child is sitting. Sometimes we have to start this very, very, very small. So sometimes each token is worth 5 seconds, or sometimes it's even been worth 2 seconds. Because the most important thing when we're doing a token reinforcement system is that we have to show them it works, and we have to show them that it works quickly. There is always time for making the criteria more difficult, but in the beginning is not that time. In the beginning, we need to establish momentum and get the ball rolling. So sometimes what I'll have a para do is a paraprofessional will sit behind the student in circle time, and literally have the token board there with the little Velcro stars, and he'll be watching the clock, and every 5 seconds that go by that child still has their behind in that chair, they are slapping on a star, or they're having the child put on a star. Wow, you did it. You're doing great. You're sitting so nicely. Remembering that we're always giving very specific praise. Our praise should be specific about what it is exactly that they did that we are rewarding them for. And so then literally the next 5 seconds, they're still sitting, and they're probably only still sitting because they just put the star on. Wow, you earned another star. You're doing such a good job sitting. Wow, we're working for computer. We're reminding them of that, of the cash money at the end of the rainbow. And then after, if we're doing this for 5 seconds a token, then after 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 seconds, that child has earned all 5 of their stars. And what does that mean? That means that they immediately get access to their backup reinforcer that they've chosen, which in this case is computer time. Now, don't worry if you think this sounds like, aerobics, because that time period is so small. Most of our kids are not on that dense of a schedule. Usually, if it's a time-based token system that we're using, it may be 30 seconds for a token. It may be 1 minute for a token. Eventually I've had kids work up to where it's an entire class period. So the 5 stars is an entire class period. So we're basically giving them a star every, 5 or 6 minutes, and then we time it so that at the end of the class period is right when they earn their 5th star and they get access to their backup reinforcer. So there are a lot of little ways to manipulate this and move this around to meet your needs. And when you're setting this up for your own child, I am so more than happy to consult with you and help you figure out how exactly to set it up and what the exact, how many tokens you should use and yada, 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 everything that you need to know. But the last step basically is making your token board. So this can be, I have done this, by the seat of my pants, where I have no materials and I am called into a classroom and I have literally brought nothing with me. And what I do is I grab the nearest piece of scrap paper, I take, a pen or a pencil or a Sharpie if I can find one, and I make a box that has 5 squares in it. And then if I have no stickers, if I have no tokens, I try to find maybe a crayon, maybe a marker of a different color, and I draw my own stars. And that's my very low rent token board for the day. So this is not something that takes a whole lot, that has to take a whole lot of time, energy, money, materials. This is something that, if you have nothing else, if you have no other resources around you, you can throw together if you know the concept of how to do it. But that being said, if you are, if you prefer to have something that's reusable, I'm going to also show you and share with you some resources that I have for printable token boards that you can email me and get access. I will send them to you in a PDF file. I like to I don't have a printer. I feel like not many people have printers these days. I go on staples.com, I upload it, they print it and laminate it for me for about, I want to say under $5, and then I go and get the Velcro, and then I call it a day. And if you have one that's laminated like that, it's reusable because we're not coloring on it, we're not putting actual stickers on it. We're also laminating the little tokens. Like if you see here, the stars that are in this example, those could be laminated tokens that are being Velcroed on. So this is reusable, it's sustainable. I have worked with kids where, they use their laminated token boards so much that they become totally beat up and we have to replace them because they're just, just totally weathered. But they have a pretty long life. So that's the last part, is that you figure out how you're going to make your token board. I also have resources. I'm going to show you an example of a choice board. So these are some choice boards. And you may recognize if you have a child who doesn't communicate vocally, who might either be on a PECS board or an assistive technology device, you may recognize some of these photos. We call them, PEC icons, picture exchange communication. But you don't have to be fancy to do this either. I remember when I was a special ed teacher, we didn't have, it wasn't in Roselle, but we didn't have any of the software. And so I used to spend hours on Google image searching, goldfish crackers and gummy worms and putting these little icons into Microsoft Word and then printing them. You don't have to do all that. The district has access to software that has literally any picture that you could ever desire. And if we don't have it, I will make it for you. So if this is something that you really are looking to do and implement and you want to get started on it, I'm happy to work with you one-on-one to get this up and running, and to, get you the pictures that you need. The only thing that you'll have to, do from your end, because there's no virtual, I can't teleport it to you, but anything via email I can help with. So that is a little example of the choice board, but I wanted to give 2 examples of a token board and how it might work. So the first example is more of like a functional token reinforcement system. And this is something that you can also use on a more delayed basis. So I have used this with my daughter for chores. So basically, in this example, every household chore for each day, you can earn a star. And once you get to X number of stars, then you earn your backup reinforcer. This is a delayed reinforcement schedule. So please keep in mind that if you have a preschooler or if you have a kindergartner or, there is no age limit. If you have a learner who needs immediate reinforcement and immediate feedback and may not completely comprehend the idea of, if I do good today, I get to go somewhere on Friday, then this would not be something that would maybe help you during virtual learning. But it's a good thing to have in your tool belt because you can always do this on top of a more immediate reinforcement system also. So in this example, Jacob gets a sticker each time he does a household chore independently. Once he has 10 stickers, his parents will take him to the toy store and he can pick out anything for $15. This is a very specific example. You get to create and customize this however it meets the needs of your child and your family. The second example is one that I see a little bit more when I picture you all working with your kids from home. Angelina gets 1 token for every 30 seconds she stays in her chair during a virtual learning lesson. After she earns 5 tokens, which would equal 2 minutes and 30 seconds of sitting, she gets a 3-minute break on the computer. Very important to remember, this needs to be given right away. So when you're doing especially when you're just starting and your kid doesn't really even know what you're doing or what this is, the quicker that you're able to show them that it works, the quicker that this will become invaluable for you, because you can literally, once a child knows what this thing is, you literally take out this token board and you may not even have to say a word. You may just take it out and point to the 3 empty, slots, and that will say to that child, oh, I got a little bit more work to do before I get that picture on there, which is what I really want, which is the computer. So this is totally customizable. And a lot of kids in the district, we do this with them in person. And so you may not even know that this is something that your child already has some exposure to, and it may be a very quick pickup. This was, again, just some examples of choice boards, and everything, is customizable. I have, sometimes I like to have it all on the same 8x11 sheet of laminated paper. So I might have the choice board on the bottom half of the paper and the token board at the top so that everything's all in one place. A little bit of a hack tip is to also put Velcro on the back of your token board and your choice board, just in case when you want to, before you're giving the tokens, you need somewhere to have the tokens be, and rather than carrying them around and probably losing them, it's nice to just have them Velcroed to the back and rip them off the back and put them on the front when when your child earns the token. It's up to you whether you put the tokens on and show the child, or you have the child put the tokens on. Sometimes when a child's supposed to be more engaged and I don't really want to take them out of instruction, I'll kind of just hold it up so that they see that they're getting the token, and then I kind of like gesture how many more they have left. But this is a really, when I thought about what's the one thing I could give parents that might be able to change their life a tiny bit in these crazy times, this is what I thought of. So I want to, hold on, I got to get to my next. I'm going to show a short video on just a little bit, some tips and tricks for token boards. And hopefully this will work. Somebody yell if you can't hear it. Oh, nope, I messed it up. Sorry.
So token boards are really great because they can be used for a wide variety of things. Anything from meal times to bath time to any activity that's basically a little tricky for kids. Even story time if the child isn't that interested in stories. We're trying to teach Cal how to do puzzles, but it's not his favorite activity. So in order to make it a more engaging activity, we're going to give him a token for each puzzle piece that he puts in. And then at the end of the tokens, when he has all 5, he gets this ball, which he really likes. We only have 4 puzzle pieces, so we're going to just put 1 token on. So there's just 4 tokens to fill in. So Cal's going to do 1 piece. Yay, good job. And 1 token. You have 1, 2, 3 more. Very good. 1 more, last piece. Ta-da! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Good job, you get your ball. So this seems really easy. However, a lot of times you may have to really kind of get them through it by giving them hand-over-hand assistance for each piece and moving it quickly through to get them the tokens as quickly as possible. Start to teach them that tokens equal reward. And then you can slowly increase the number until you can use all 5. For example, something like circle time, you may start by giving a child a goldfish every minute that they sit at circle time. So we will introduce a token board where for every minute, they get a token on the token board. And at the end of 5 minutes, they get a goldfish to sort of extend and make it sort of a more natural experience. The idea being that over time, you would then be able to actually extend it for the entire circle time. At the very end of circle, they would get a goldfish. This does take practice both for the parent and the child to get used to using it. So don't get discouraged if it doesn't work the first time. It may take a few days of practicing before you're comfortable with it and your child's really understanding the concept. It's a really great tool for parents and therapy teams to use to help children stay motivated, stay focused, stay calm during difficult activities.
So that is, you know, some of the stuff that we already went over, but something that she brought up in that video that I didn't touch on that's very important is the idea of prompting. So sometimes, you know, we are going to have to show them, we want them to get to the end of the tokens as quickly as possible so that they start to associate in their mind, if I do this, I get that. And so, you know, if we are hoping for an independent response the first time we ask them to do something, this may not work because the child may either not know the response or just not be willing to do it at that moment. So I would actually make the suggestion that when you're learning this and when you're testing this out with your child, do it outside of virtual learning and do it with something that you know your child can do. So the idea of a puzzle is great. If your child, you know your child can do a puzzle that you've had forever, great, bring it out. He has mastered that puzzle. That's old news to him, but it will be great to practice because you know he's going to be able to respond correctly, and then you will be able to give him the tokens. He may think you're crazy, like, Mom, we've had this puzzle forever, and I obviously know how to do it. But the point is not really for him to learn a skill. The point is for him or her to associate the doing of something, the responding, with the accumulation of these tokens, and then eventually at the end with this reward. So I would definitely try to do it in that kind of a setting first before you attempt it with things that, may be more of a challenge for your student. But even when you are using it with things that are more of a challenge, that's fine. You may need to use prompting, and prompting is not a bad thing. Prompting is a lot of times how we teach children what the response is that we're looking for. So if you are in a virtual learning lesson and the teacher instructs your child to touch something specific on the screen, I always say give them a few seconds, because sometimes we overestimate other people's abilities to process information. So give them a few seconds to make sure that they've definitely heard and what's been said. And then if they don't respond, then that's when you move into prompt. And I have, for my next session, I'm working on a whole thing about prompting, but prompting is not bad. And if you prompt your student to do something, you still would give them that token because they complied with the prompt, and you're teaching them, you need to provide the reinforcement. If the reinforcement never happens, then they're never going to put it together. They're never going to learn the contingency that I do this and I get that, and then this is all going to be a moot point. So that's why my suggestion to do it at first with things that are already mastered will give you a lot in the way of at least the child learning what this is even all about. So just a few more tips, and then we're gonna stop, and I'm going to open it up for any questions that are, just specifically about the content. If you have questions about your particular student, I would love to talk with you about that and about him or her. But I would just ask that you reach out to me, individually, so that we can have a conversation, in private about your specific situation or experience. But for final tips are deliver the token as soon as your child either completes the behavior, whether you're doing a time behavior or response-based, because you can also do this. It doesn't have to be time-based. It could be response-based. So every time a child responds to whatever the teacher said, they may earn a token then. Be prepared with a variety of reinforcer options. I talked about this. Your child may lose interest if they continue to get the same thing all the time. So keep it, change it up, keep it exciting. And if you can, engage your child in the process of designing the token economy system. I have made, all kinds of token boards over the years: Paw Patrol and princesses and Yo Gabba Gabba and Superman and X-Men. I mean, I can help you make a very customized token board for your kid. And then finally, adjust your system as you go. It may take trial and error to learn about all the different variables of this, but remember to start easy on yourself and on your child. And that is basically my overview of token boards. Before I open it up, I just want to show you real quick, if I can get out this preference assessment. If you Google parent preference assessment, it should take you to this. It's from the Richmond, Virginia school district, and they have a really great comprehensive preference assessment that I really like. It looks like this. So if you're Googling it, it says reinforcement inventories for children and adults. And like I said, it literally has a list here of everything that could ever potentially be rewarding to any person. And you can also mark off how reinforcing it is. It's something that he likes a lot or a little, because you can use that as toys, entertainment, yada, yada, yada. So I just real quick, I wanted to show you the resources that I had that I can email you literally tonight. If you were to email me and say, Katherine, my little guy loves vehicles and things that go and fire trucks, I could email you this PDF that has, all kinds of varieties of trucks and ambulances and diggers and bikes. This is almost too many things. We have that. We have just tons of different things. We have cute ones so it can also be in the form of instead of tokens, I like these little puzzles. So you basically cut out, you laminate these, and then you cut out the 4 puzzle pieces here, and each puzzle piece is a token. So then at the end, once he completes all the puzzle pieces are on, that means he's earned his reward. They also have ones for 6 pieces rather than 4, and I think they have an 8-piece one too. So we really can customize this. This is what I was talking about for older children who may not want to have the cute, cuddly cartoon character token boards. This is just a very simple checkmark token board. And they could even write in what it is that they're earning rather than having the pictures. Pictures are good though for anybody who, you know, uses assistive technology or communicates through pictures. There's no age limit to that. And, you know, beyond, there's all different ones. What's this one? This is, oh, look at these cute little doggies. My daughter would love this one. So you cut out the doggies and each dog goes in a house, and once all your dog houses are full, oh, there's even more doggies. You can do a 10-dog dog house. That's awesome. Hey, they don't have a French bulldog on there. That's my baby. So we have tons of different stuff. You tell me, like, you have a pizza lover. This is the one I would probably choose if I'm being honest. Although if I remember this one, the ham is very strange looking. Yes, see, the ham is not really very appetizing, but I would probably put pepperoni and maybe some pineapple on there. Contrary to popular opinion, I like pineapple on pizza. So this is just kind of showing you how broad these resources are. And again, these are available to all Roselle families. You just kind of use me as the go-between, tell me what you need. I can send you as many of these as you need, and we can get you going on setting up this token board. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and come back here with my face. I was gonna laugh at, I hope, I've now numbed out the sound of my dog snoring, but I really sincerely hope that she hasn't been snoring this whole time. That will really affect my Yelp reviews. Just kidding. So if anybody wants to unmute themselves or raise, if you know how to raise your hand on here, you could do that. If not, you could just unmute yourself. Again, any questions like related to just the general concept, how you set it up. I would love to speak with you about your child specifically. You can email me even tonight and I will get back to you tomorrow about that. But does anybody have any questions about what was presented or any clarification?
I would just like to say thank you so much, Katherine, for that wonderful presentation. Once again, thank you everyone for being here tonight. This is our first CPAC meeting. And I got to explain at the beginning, I see somebody asked what a CPAC is, and a CPAC is a Special Education Parent Advisory Group. By law, every district has to have one, and it is a group that is run by parents that works together with the district. So our meetings are run by us parents, and then we take whatever we find to the district and the director and the superintendent so that we can let them know what is going on and what is working, what is not. But I really appreciate everyone being here tonight. It's so nice to see about 18 parents and people from school as well. Thank you for being here tonight.
Yes, I
echo. Oh, by the way, I do have a token board.
Oh, wow, look at that.
And it has the stickies in the back, like you said.
You could have given this presentation. That looks amazing.
Yeah, well, this one is for hitting, but
okay.
I use it for more than just hitting. I use it for like, if he's not listening or if he's not sitting or anything, but it's the 3 things that you said. Well, this is for three strikes.
Well, that's good. Whatever works. And like, it's fully customizable. I like that.
Yes.
Anybody else, any last thoughts? Thank you so much for everyone for being here. Please reach out to me if you need anything. You can get my information from your child's case manager or teacher or really anybody. Pretty much everyone should have my info. So,
right. Katherine, if you didn't see the chat, if you wouldn't mind, if you don't want to put your email information, you can just send it to me privately or email it to me, and then I can send you any information or follow up from the meeting. So my email is in the chat. You can just chat back to me privately, or you can email me